Hi, this is Tom Payne, otherwise known as Jesus from The Walking Dead, and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through.
Hi guys, this is Nadia Hilker. I'm playing Magna on The Walking Dead, and you guys are listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast, and I'm sending you all my love. Bye!
Hello, my name is Cassie McClincy. I play Lydia on The Walking Dead, and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through. Yeah!
Hey, I'm Lindsley Register, and I play Laura on The Walking Dead. You're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through on Talk Through Media.
Survivors, welcome to episode 124 of The Walking Dead Talk Through. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Brian.
And I'm LT.
Hey! Well, we are back, finally.
Yay!
Yeah. Besides the, whatever it was, 10.5, or, like the extra episodes we did this summer. But, yeah, it's kind of good to be back for season 11, the last one. Well, all right, let's go into this week's episode. We'll be covering The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 1, titled Acheron, Part 1.
I'm thinking is this the first time we've ever had a Part 1, Part 2 of a show? I can't ever remember there being a Part 1, Part 2.
Not that I can recall offhand. I feel like there might have been, but maybe it wasn't.
I think that they
Fear, maybe?
have been.
Maybe Fear, yeah.
Yeah, I was
but
thinking maybe Fear.
I don't think the main show has.
I mean, it's a serialized show, so they don't have to necessarily do a Part 1, Part 2 kind of thing. But
yeah,
I thought it was interesting that they did this. So anyway,
yeah, no,
and of course, Acheron means the River of Woe, which I guess is some kind of allusion to the subway tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
could say that. Well, it's a lot of to do with the subways that we're seeing, because that was pretty much a big part of the episode and some of the high points. All right, well, let's move on to feedback before we get started. We did get something from Renee from Atlanta, and so let's just play what she had to say.
Well, we should say this.
We can talk about it. Done talking. Time to listen.
You don't want to deprive her of that.
Yeah,
She loves her Rick. Okay, here's Renee's voicemail.
Hi, this is Renee from Atlanta. I am super excited to hear your voice, Brian. Hi, LT and Kyle. You're back. Yes. Whoop, whoop. I just wanted to call. Of course, I'm going to do my feedback on the Facebook page because I like interacting with everyone. I'm going to get to hear from Dieta. I think that's how you pronounce the name, and a couple of other people. I can't remember their name, but once we start talking again on Facebook, I'll remember them. But yeah, I just wanted to call and say hi because I'm going to do my feedback online. Just say I'm super excited that, Kyle, you came back to us. I'm glad the Three Amigos is back together again. I cannot wait to listen to the podcast at the gym. It's been really awful without you guys. I started watching the 100, and it's going to be good. I mean, the 100 was okay. It was not good, but The Walking Dead is going to be even better, because the ladies from the 100 is going to go on The Walking Dead. At least that's what I saw on Instagram. I haven't seen it yet, but that's what I saw on Instagram. I think her name is Ishra, whatever her name. But so I'm really looking forward to her joining The Walking Dead. But alrighty, guys, I will, I guess, be talking with you guys later. Okay, bye.
Renee, thank you as always for your voicemail, but also definitely for your feedback on Facebook. She did reach out to me while I was on my kind of hiatus, which I was really just moving. But yeah, she was sweet, and it was like, I missed being on here.
That's okay. I may be paying back the favor.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. But yeah, it was just, different stuff was just going on. And I felt, you guys know, obviously, but it was just nice that, I was missed.
Yeah.
And Renee was so sweet to like reach out to me on Facebook. It was nice.
Well, and we've missed her too. So
Yep.
it's
Yeah. No, we've missed everybody.
And
It's been different.
that's right.
Things have been different.
we were saying, Kyle and I were saying on the episode of the Star Trek Lower Decks podcast, which if you don't listen to that, that's also back. We've done 2 shows, and we got the most awesome voicemail ever recorded
Ever.
on this week. And I posted about it just on my own Facebook account, just saying like how much I personally get out of feeling that appreciation, from the listeners. That's what keeps me going, because sometimes this can be a drudge. There's a lot of work to put in the podcast together sometimes, and
Yeah, this is
Anyway,
so. But yeah, we appreciate our listeners, and also I agree. It's just so nice to hear from you guys, and we do this for you. That's the whole point. We like to enjoy the shows and the discussion, and we're happy that you guys are a part of it. All right. Well, with no further ado, let's move on to this episode. We are going to cover The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 1, Acheron Part 1. It was written by Angela Kang, who's the executive producer and showrunner, which everybody should know that, and Jim Barnes, who's the co-executive producer. He did Ghost, Stalker, A Certain Doom, one more, and he's doing Acheron Parts 1 and the one that's coming up next week, Part 2.
Yeah, so all those that he wrote last season were all pretty good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worth saying there.
It was directed by Kevin Dowling, and the description from AMC is Daryl leads a mission team to scavenge the military base he discovered. Maggie tells her story, prompting a new mission for survival that only Negan can lead. Eugene and his group go through assessment by the Commonwealth's paramilitary police. All right, well, let's get into our ratings. LT, what do you have?
Well, I was giving it an 8.5 out of 10. So what did you wipe with?
Yeah, those questions. I mean, specific. Well, I gave it, and hopefully I can do this. I wrote this, and I don't know. This is just my little fun to it. But I mean, I gave it an 8.2 little stormtrooper sitting in a tree. KISSING. First comes Eugene, then comes Unigo, then comes a butt-kicking, armor-stealing, making an escape because you couldn't keep it in your pants, baby carriage. Yeah, sorry, that was a lie. I know. I just had to do it. All right, Brian, what'd you give it?
Well, what I wrote, I am not going to say.
I was wondering.
But it was something that Negan said. So I not going to be saying that, but I will say that I like this episode quite a bit. I thought it had like a good mood to it, and I like the juxtaposition between them being in the subway and the stuff going on with the
Commonwealth.
Yeah. But I would say that I probably like the Commonwealth first more. I'm going to give it a 9, and I'm going to say 9 orange stormtroopers in charge. It's not a very good thing, but that's the best I can come up with. Because I couldn't say what Negan said.
That is correct, sir.
Alrighty, well, let's go into our listeners' ratings. And our first one comes from Dieta from Detroit. She says, I rate this episode 9 out of 10, and so it begins, the final season of my favorite show.
Glennis from Toronto says, 7 out of 10. Follow me, I'm the Pied Piper.
Renee from Atlanta puts it very simply. She says, 8 out of 10, Negan is a douchebag. With 2 thumbs downs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that says it very well.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go into our awesome sauce. All right, our first listener's awesome sauce comes from Dieta from Detroit, and she says, Maggie giving Negan the business and putting him on notice. Maggie ain't to be played with. Awesome sauce number 2 was Princess with her people reading skills. I mean, what an awesome skill to have. I loved every bit of that scene. Couldn't agree with you more.
Yes, we did. All right. Glennis from Toronto says, to hear the words previously on The Walking Dead.
Lastly, we got from Renee from Atlanta. She says, the show being back on is awesome sauce for me. Not to mention Kyle is back.
Aw.
Yay.
And what do you call those emojis?
I think
those are hugs.
Yeah, those are hugs.
Oh, they're hugs. Okay. Then she says, everything about our peeps when they went into the military base to get the food. They were so stealthy, but of course, it's TWD. You knew something was going to happen. So when the blood dropped, it was like, oh hell, frowny face. But of course, our people haven't survived this long without knowing how to take out a ton of walkers. Flexing muscle arm, flexing
arm.
muscle arm.
Yeah, of course. That was kind of part, which I'll go into once we go into weak sauce.
Yeah.
Why my rating was only 8.2.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, listeners. That was all their awesome sauce. So let's go into ours. Brian, you want to go first?
I get to go first.
Yes.
I don't do that very often.
I think you typed it in first.
I like to play the anchor man a lot of times. Anyway, she just mentioned it, but that one drop of blood coming down, I like that effect. I thought, gee, Daryl's must have some stinky blood, just like probably stinky, like probably Daryl is stinky. But I like the visual effect. I do have more about that whole scene, but
so do I.
Yeah. Nice kills though in the cold open. It reminded me of that particular cold open reminded me of season 3, episode 1, Seed, and the way that, if you remember that, they all kind of come in all stealthily and take care of the walkers that are in this house, and they're they start eating a can of dog food and stuff like that. But there's like nothing spoken the whole time. So that's what I remember the most from that. But it was similar. It was just a lot of action, not much
Dialogue.
said.
Yep.
Yeah. I wrote down one of the things that was in the graffiti that was in the subway tunnel. If there is a God, he will have to beg for my forgiveness. I like that. It's something that I feel would be appropriate in the apocalypse. I thought that the Commonwealth interrogations, I really enjoyed that. How they're intimidating, but there's no sign of any physical abuse or torture or anything like that, but they definitely are exerting a presence there. I'd kind of like to know what is going on with reprocessing.
Mm-hmm.
The $2 thing reminded me of that. Wasn't it Better Off Dead?
Yep.
Yeah. I want my $2. Yeah. So, and that was one of the few fat zombies that we've seen. Like, and he was, pretty big guy, but most of the zombies that you see on this show are, very gaunt, and there's not much to them. And this one, probably because he was a walker from early on, and he's been covered up. He was pretty much preserved in his 300 plus pound state. So, and he had like these like weird, almost like either blood blisters or boils or barnacles or something. I couldn't tell what it was. But I thought that was cool. The overall lighting and music and eerie tone in those subway tunnels, I thought were really good. And the drama between Maggie and Negan in those scenes, I said in the notes there, I said, Negan can't help being Negan. He's got to try to stir up some shit. But at the same time, I kind of like him in this fallen enemy leader situation because he's got a point. As much as I don't want to say that he's got a point, he does have a point.
Yeah. Yep.
So
he's not wrong.
He isn't wrong. So that's but at the same time, the ones that are there, it's the ones that like listen to him are ones that were from, I don't know where that kid was from, but C. Thomas Howell, which I happen to notice. Boy, he looks different from the way he did in the 80s, The Outsiders and all that. Anyway, he can go after him because he was, I think, one of the highwaymen, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he can listen to him, but the ones that were following Maggie, they can't listen to him. And the ones from Alexandria, they're not going to listen to him either. So makes very much sense who makes that split.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's all I've got to say about it. So, Kyle, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agreed with you. It was just like the opening scene was really cool. It was just like cool visuals for that whole opening. The Commonwealth interrogations, just the way they did the whole basically all the cut scenes between Yumiko and Eugene and Kingy and Princess, just them answering the question, and that they were they had their story they were sticking to, and so it was kind of like you could kind of follow along, like, okay, this is like they all were kind of on the same page, and we're kind of doing a pretty good job about not revealing like their basically what the Commonwealth was asking for is like, where is your community? But it was so good. And then just how it then involved or diverged into this, like, okay, the questions got crazier and crazier and crazier. And just like, didn't make sense. And then, King Ezekiel doing his thing against the beat cop. The DC subway, I watched that, like they did a behind the scenes thing on Talking Dead, but I mean that really was kind of a cool like set, and it was like how they kind of played with it. It's like seeing the graffiti, like you were saying, I was going to kind of mention that too. It was just like it was fun to see, like, yeah, that's like what people that were probably still surviving early on, would be writing stuff, trying, like either living down there, escaping, but like you got that whole underground feel of like the last remnants of society. And then of course, like, hey, someone obviously was like basically blaming God, and like, then all the skeletons and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, the way they did that scene, and then also with like all the sounds, and just, of course, it was dark, but it was just, I enjoyed it. It was a really, really good scene. And then really it was just like King Ezekiel calling that pumpkin color spacesuit asshole beat cop. What was his name? I had it written down. Mercer is the cop. Yeah. Yep. Like, so I know we're going to see him because he's part of the comics, and
they didn't give his name though.
No.
That's just something we know externally. That was was it on?
It was on Talking Dead. Yeah.
And and something we have to tell our listeners, because this is historical. this may be the first time that I did not get to watch Talking Dead, and Kyle did get to watch Talking Dead.
Yes, it was like an opposite day.
Yes.
Because I never usually get to watch it at all, really. It's like I try, and it's like run out of time. And
if anything deserves this, it's that.
It's a frightening juxtaposition.
Well, that was pretty much all that I had for my awesomeness. LT, what did you have?
I had some of the same things, but the part I liked about the DC tunnels is it definitely reminded me of Fallout 3. If you're a Fallout player and you're doing the post-apocalyptic gaming thing, you spend a lot of times in the DC metro tunnels. So for me, it was very much like the video game with the collapsed tunnel on the train and just the noises and the dark. And like you guys have both said, they did a great job with the set dressing on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really, really freaking awesome that they got them down in there. Of course, I'll talk more about my problems with going into the tunnels a little bit later, but absolutely loved that part of it. Definitely have to say that this was much better than 10C one episode in. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not bashing the fact that they gave us more show. I just think that just because they're giving us show, they need to give us good show. So the body dump. The body dump makes me wonder. You know, we know that we've got another group out there that is fighting civilizations, and we know that we've got a group out there that took Maggie's people down. So, you know, is this what they did with the people that disagreed? Is this like something the Saviors would have done? You know, it just kind of made me wonder, because I really don't think that a mafia body dump would have been in a freaking subway tunnel and would have lasted this long. Mm-hmm. So I hope that they give me a little more than just, this was a convenient place for some group to stash a bunch of dead guys in
plastic
paint,
wrap.
in paint and drop cloths. When they were taking Eugene, Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Princess to the Commonwealth compound, notice that they used the same kind of wagons that the Hilltoppers and the Alexandrians were using. They're using horses. So while they may have a certain degree of equipment, we know they still have guns and bullets, they're back to using horses and carts just like everybody else has. So they haven't necessarily conquered the mechanical things and have a source for gasoline. You guys were talking about the interrogation for the processing, and the part that I want to comment on is the process itself is as much of a test than the questions, because if you notice the cutscenes when the clock was going, one of the ways that you get someone to tell the truth, and one of the ways that you can effectively question someone, is you have to apply stress. And so the stress of the repetitive questions and keeping them in there and asking them the same things over and over again, it's not just the fact they're asking them the questions and seeing if their answers are staying consistent. It's how are they going to react with that degree of pressure and that degree of stress? And, you know, are they going to crack? And if they have ill intent, you know, is it going to manifest itself by the application of that stress? Mm-hmm. Because one of the things you do in an interrogation is that you apply stressors. You know, you keep them talking for a long time, and you don't let them sleep, and you get their rest off cycle. And you know, that's why you see all these things, like in the movies when they're interrogating somebody, that they have the noise and you don't let them sleep, and you, all the things that you think of classically in the movies of people getting questioned. This is a form of that, but it's a little more benign, but yet it is still the same effect. So it was cool to see them doing that, because their intention is to find out, are they telling the truth? And the last thing I want to throw out is the fact that Princess has kind of a Eugene streak. It's just that hers was more people watching, where, Eugene is sort of, Mr. Scientific Knowledge, and he can crunch numbers and he has the math thing. But like when she was noticing all these little bits from just listening and watching the people. So I thought that was really pretty cool. And it added something to her character, because, I still go back to the whole walking through the minefield when we first met her. So that this was cool that they manifested another part of her personality that is probably going to be very useful in the coming season.
Yep. Agreed.
Although at one point I had to look at it and go, how much of this is she sensing, and how much of this is she just hallucinating or make believe?
Well, see, that is the beauty of it. We don't know.
Yeah. Although it seems like she was correct in them being able to get the uniforms. So
yep.
So I tend to think that it wasn't hallucination or whatever.
Yeah. So. No. Yep. She's kind of like, I figured Eugene was kind of a good kind of like way to whatever, categorize her or like, compare her to or whatever. But it's like Eugene definitely is like book smarts, and Princess does seem to be more street smart. Like she's, Eugene doesn't have that, the personality or the.
He's not a people person.
Right. He doesn't know how to relate and be personal with people. But Princess definitely, you can tell that's kind of her deal. So she should be interesting. Alrighty. Well, look who just joined us. Someone we haven't seen or I've seen in a very long time. We have Ruthie joining us tonight.
Oh my God.
Hey,
I know. Gosh.
Oh my God.
How'd you get in here?
She snuck in.
I don't know. Somebody left the door open and I just kind of wandered in.
Well, hello.
Hello. I was going to say about Princess. I think, didn't we learn that she was a foster kid?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a characteristic, I think, I don't know from personal experience, but I've heard, and all my experience comes from TV, so it's right, that foster kids are very good at observing people, because it's kind of one of those self-preservation mechanisms about learning people and their behavior and how they may or may not act around you. At least that is what I have learned from television. So again, it's right. But anyway, if they're following that same TV model with her, it would make sense to me that she is able to observe people and their behaviors and what they're doing and watch that. But then we also know that she's an unreliable narrator. So
yeah.
Yep, which makes it all the more fun.
Oh, yes. She's my favorite. I think I don't know if you guys have talked about the 10C episodes or whatever, but
yeah, we did.
That one and the one with her and I can't remember. Hers, I guess, was my favorite because I can't remember the other one. But anyway, I feel like, I don't know if you guys talked about this either. I'm sorry, I'm late, so I'm bringing up old stuff probably. But well, maybe you're going to talk about it later. I feel like I didn't understand, did they just skip over the 10C thing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it
felt
played,
like that based on the.
I think it played, especially the Negan Maggie stuff. I think played into the 10C stuff, and the Commonwealth stuff. I think played into this episode too.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So, but how much time has passed? I don't know. It seems like more time has maybe passed in Alexandria than has passed in the rest of, like, in, what do you call it? The Commonwealth. I think there are two slightly different time periods.
Yeah, well, we know the Carol and Daryl episodes were before.
Yeah, those were
Right.
flashbacks, and like we don't even know exactly what time that like those actually were. But yeah, I think overall 10C was just playing a little more into, obviously, with Princess and like the Commonwealth, but then some of the episodes were just kind of like filler and really didn't really
Yep.
like add anything to what we're actually going to be experienced. So cool. All right, Ruthie, thank you. We are going to do you want to give any ratings or quick awesome sauces that you might have real quick?
Oh, I know, because I only saw the episode once and I didn't really have time. I mean, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it, but I don't know that I could necessarily pick out some awesome sauces. Probably what you guys already said.
Say it. Okay. Yeah. We kind of all agreed with each other for the most part.
I mean, I enjoyed the opening scene. Yeah, what they said. I enjoyed the opening scene and the whole, I kept, like, it was tense and I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, so to speak, but it was actually a drop of blood.
Yep.
And, but I feel like, I was reading the doc a little bit and I saw what you guys were probably talking about. I feel like they have evolved since then and they're better. I mean, after all, Carol was able to go grab some more MREs and get the knives back.
Yeah.
Yes. That was
and they didn't lose anybody.
Right.
So,
yep.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
That's cool. Cool.
Yep.
So that's my awesome sauce.
Cool deal. All right. Well, let's then move on to our weak sauce.
You're worthless and weak.
All right. We got one weak sauce from Dieta, and she said, "How did nobody notice or hear they lost 2 people in the subway?" And shit, I guess that's like monocle eye. Like, where did they go? Because couldn't they have gone back the way they came because the herd was coming? Just magical, I guess. Thinking face. I mean, do we even know?
I don't think those. Just
Like-
saying, I don't think they're lost. They just, left.
They took an access hatch.
Right.
They take all the
Batteries.
and
Yeah,
everything,
they-
supplies and
And
whatnot.
the food.
So they basically pieced out. And yeah, it's surprising that nobody noticed that they were gone.
Damn
Yeah.
you, C. Thomas Howell.
They made the classic Blair Witch mistake. Never give one person all the food.
Well, that's definitely, they shouldn't give anybody.
Did they give them all the stuff or did they just take it?
No, I think they had it. I don't know.
I think
they
they were
were the-
they were
They were
pack
the pack
muling.
mules?
Yep.
Yeah, that
they
was
were
a
the pack
mistake.
mules.
That was a definite mistake.
Yeah, the moment they start questioning, like, about, like, siding with Negan, they should have just been like, okay, well, that's fine. You think that way. Now
Hey,
give me the
let's
bags.
divvy up the stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand why they don't have everybody carrying all of their own supplies anyway. I mean,
One
that just seems
would
to make the
think.
most logical
Right,
sense.
right. Don't put
If
logic
you're, I mean,
in
if you
this.
get stranded out, I'm sorry, my bad. I mean, if I get caught out alone, I'm not going to want to be without, oh crap, I'm the one carrying all the bed sheets.
Well, see, that's I'm the one that's going to have to be the logical one.
I have some things to like that are actually coming up in my weak sauce, but
Oh yes.
But let's continue. And LT, I will let you have first whack at it.
Well, thank you, sir. So, while I thought it was good that they got the MREs at the military base, my problem is, why did we have to have the big Mission Impossible scene lowering down with the ropes through the skylight? Okay, cool. It's a cool watch. It made for, tension in the episode, but LT does not agree. The whole repellent thing, you're adding an additional layer of risk, because let's say that when your pulley broke, what if it was Carol and not just a duffel bag full of chicken a la King and tuna casserole? So are you going to be able to belay somebody with a straight pulley that weighs 160 pounds or so with one hand?
No.
And now you're going to have one of your teammates with maybe 2 broken legs down in Walkerville. I just think that they could have come up with another plan. I mean, it's a freaking hangar. It's a big space. It's a military base, so there's crap laying around. You know,
forklifts.
Drop a boulder on them.
That's the wrong show.
Something you could have done something else. Go to the other side of the hangar and make noise. So when they all perk up and walk that way, you can all jam them into one side. Like I said, absolutely cool visual, but I'm thinking, the ROI on that is just a little off for me.
Yeah.
Like you think
for the sake of drama.
You'd think that they would be able to, just like a ladder,
or like I said, it's a hangar. There's lots of doors in hangars.
Yeah. There's a lot.
To the other side and go, kick, woo woo, and get them all to move.
I mean, I agree with you. Go to, find a door, open the door, and start stabbing.
And get them all to go one way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much.
I don't understand why. I mean, they've become proficient at clearing buildings, so I don't understand why they would waste time doing that instead of.
That was my whole thing. It was just like
because it looked cool,
right? But I was like, okay, so they go down, they do this whole sneaking around.
Yeah.
Of course, something happens, and then the walkers wake up. But then they spend the rest of the time shooting them and basically clearing them. And it was like, like
it was unnecessarily risky,
right? Yeah. It's like you could have just cleared them all out.
And if you're going to go ahead, going to go ahead and do that, go ahead and clear the building, and then you get to my next part. What sort of facility was this?
Right.
It was an army base.
Yeah.
And so what do all these army guys probably have on them? Guns and bullets. The one thing that you really don't have a lot of at the moment. And so, at some point, Carol and Maggie find something that shoots that's still loaded. But going back to premise A, if we can clear the building, then we'll have more guns and more bullets.
And you probably have more food and barracks and, so
and stuff and things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
stuff and things.
Yes. The other one that I was kind of being pedantic about is that MREs don't come in wooden boxes.
No, they don't.
The last time that the U.S. Army packaged rations in wooden boxes was C rations in like World War II Korea. MREs come in nice, small cardboard boxes, 12 to a pack. I'm just saying, I was like these big, huge wooden footlockers full of MREs, and I'm going, what?
Indiana Jones, like, ooh,
well,
here's.
And it's more artistic. Yeah. I get that. But whenever they whip this wooden box open, and again, what year is this supposed to be?
It's approximately 2021 or 2022.
But when did the collapse happen?
2010.
2010.
Approximately October 2010, based on the calculations that Ruthie made. Ruthie and I made in Fear the Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead season 1.
Those are not 2010 production MREs.
No, they're not.
Those are modern. Those are current year.
Well, and not only that, the MREs that we're seeing there are called MREs. In the infamous Deer episode, Say Yes, season 7, episode 12. If you recall, Michonne and Rick, Michonne, I said Michonne. Michonne
I
and Rick.
thought you meant Michonne and Rick when you said Michonne.
Yeah. Well, actually, it kind of did. Michonne and Rick come across MREs, but they weren't called MREs. They were called something else.
Well,
And they were in cardboard boxes.
they were MREs, meals ready to eat since I enlisted in 85.
They were definitely
yeah,
MREs.
But they were MREs. They just had a different name.
Yeah, they called them something else for some reason.
I can't remember. Ready to eat meals, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, green plastic bag lunches. They're MREs. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So about the tunnel. Flashlights. Batteries. If you know you're going in a tunnel, every freaking body's got a flashlight. I mean, it looked like a Cub Scout camp out with all the flashlights. And I keep thinking, if you don't have bullets, you're going to use up all your batteries because you had to go through the tunnel. I said, light a freaking torch, get a kerosene lantern, do something else. Because what's going to happen? Exactly what happened. They're, halfway through the tunnel and your 20-year-old batteries all start crapping out.
Yeah.
Batteries don't last forever.
No, they don't.
Nope.
And
even rechargeable batteries.
I have to kind of go with, so why did we have to go through the tunnels? I know it's raining, but
I didn't get that either.
I'm just...
Yeah, I thought that too. It's like, go inside.
I know. Why? I mean, I didn't understand. I was very confused. I'm sorry. I'm in a sideline and segue. I was very confused at the beginning of this episode for a really long time because first, I didn't understand what they were doing when they were getting the MREs. And then I didn't understand when they took off, and it seemed to happen so quickly. Like I felt like things were left out, and I was like, I don't understand what's happening. They were trudging through the rain, and I'm like, where's the urgency? I understand we're, low on food, et cetera, but I just didn't get why the rain was so dangerous. It's rain!
Well, yeah, but you're soaking wet. It's going to continue to rain.
I hate being wet. I don't like being out in the rain. If it were me, I would be bitching and moaning the whole time. However, if it is a matter of that urgent that we're out in the rain, then carry on.
Well,
it seemed to me like they were like, oh, it's so dangerous to be out in the rain. Why?
Visibility? I don't know.
I'm gonna throw this one.
Too.
I think I might have wadded this, but I'm gonna weak it now. Okay, so they're doing a forced march to go fight these people at the settlement.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, we can't stop. We've got to go. The worst possible thing you can do, considering that they don't have guns, that they're going to have to use some sort of physically powered weapon. So you're going to basically put them in a forced march situation. They're going to be really tired, and then you're going to expect them to fight. This is why, the Roman legions had a certain, physical fitness standard, because they had to march and then fight. And that's why if you've got the best situation, you're going to get close to your objective and you're going to rest so that you have a chance to be dry socks and at least a nap and maybe a snack before you have to put all that physical exertion in. And we're not talking about, Leonidas and 300 Spartans here. We're talking about, half-starved survivors from Alexandria. So the whole thing of, pushing them really, really hard and then expecting them to fight, that's when I was going, I know you want to get there, Maggie, but Negan's got a point. You kind of need to get out of the rain and put on some dry socks and kind of regroup and then move on.
I know Lieutenant Dan thought it was very important to be wearing good socks.
Well, I'll speak from experience. The first thing to go is your feet if you don't take care of them. And if your feet are screwed up and you've got blisters, you are not going to be any good to anybody, especially if you have to carry anything heavy or fight or run or duck or dodge.
If anyone doesn't get the reference, that's a Forrest Gump reference. I think everybody here does.
Lieutenant.
Yeah.
Ice cream, Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah.
Ice
Ice
cream.
But you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan.
So the last thing I want to kvetch about is, so nobody helped Negan kill the walker.
Yeah.
I understand they don't like Negan, but let's think about it like this. The walker eats Negan. Now you've got 2 walkers to deal with.
And they told 2 friends, and so on, and so on.
And so on. I just think it's like, kind of just take a moment to put your personal feelings aside. And if you're going to shank him in the back, do it properly. Don't let the walker eat him.
Shank him in the back and make sure you get him in the head, too.
Correct.
Yep.
I have to agree with your points there.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that I didn't really understand about this episode, but I'm not next, so someone else go.
Well, and it's always back to my thing. Loot, leave, and then sort.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You have talked about this before.
Correct. Take everything, get somewhere safe, and then sort it out.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry,
Seems like a valid point.
you left a ton of crap in that hangar.
Yes.
That's useful crap. And who knows? Maybe some of the army guys would have had flashlights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't give C. Thomas Howell your batteries.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, pretty much that was a big part of mine, was just because it's like, to me, none of that made really that much sense other than the fact of like, yeah, show something exciting and like, suspenseful. Cause it was like, if you knew about this place, then wouldn't you have scouted it, which was why you were doing the thing you were doing. And then it was like, by the end of it, you already cleared out almost all the walkers, or knew, like had a big, chunk of them were sitting there staring up at you while you're on top of them, and it was like, you could have come back and, it's like, they had the tactical advantage of being above them on the roof. Like they could have just sit there and picked them off. Like, it was like doing all of that to get some of these MRIs or MREs or whatever. It was just kind of like, and you are missing who knows how much is there. There was like, it's an army base. There's gotta be, a billion more things that would have like helped, like tools that they need to help put the walls up, So anyways, that was why my rating was what it is, because it was like, okay, for the cool factor, yeah. But then when you think about it, you're like, well, I don't get it. Like, you just really didn't do this really well. And then, Brian, I saw your notes about you were going to disagree with me. But I mean, again, this is why, like Carol, like I was just like, what are you doing? Like, she's almost out of danger, but then she unhooks herself because she sees some MREs, and she goes and grabs them, and then like gets back, while walkers are almost around her, and, Daryl's sitting there shooting. And it was because it was like, of my other reason and our reasons about like, why did they do what they did at this base? But it was just like, okay, this was just that, oh, Q Carol doing, like in danger, everybody gasped, like, oh no, to me, it was just stupid. And it was just, just an OMG moment for that scene, So it's like, I get what you were saying, but like, I
didn't say anything yet.
Well, I know, because I was cueing into what you were going to say. So take it.
Well, you don't know what I'm going to say, Kyle, because I'm not going to say what I wrote. So, because I'm messing with your head. No, I'm going to stop being a jerk here. So,
how many times did you go to the bathroom, Kyle?
What I said here was prefaced on not hearing some of the thought of Mr. LT there. And So I'm going to credit you and say that if you take at face granted, this is the only way that they are going to be able to get the food, right? Then, and knowing the plight of Alexandria and how desperate they are for food, going back for that food to me makes sense, right? Considering she did have Daryl and other people that could, shoot or throw at the walkers and are obviously adept enough to be able to throw a knife and, stab them in the head. Whether how impossible that is or not.
Drop a brick.
Right. But the point being that she had cover. There was a risk there, but it was a risk worth taking considering what they needed to do. Now, that said, I didn't understand at all why those walkers were the way that they were. Didn't make any sense to me, and would have made a whole lot more sense to me. Step one, kill all the walkers. Forget about the MREs. Just clear it. Clear them, move them to the side, whatever you got to do, just get rid of them. And then move into the damn base. To me, that would have been a decent temporary place to call home, maybe, while they get Alexandria fixed up. Or maybe they move in there permanently. I don't know. But that part didn't make a lot of sense to me. But if you are taking it at face granted, this is the only thing they can do. They can't stay there for whatever reason, and they need to get them. Then my thought that it's worth the risk, and that Carol was able to take a risk and have a reasonable certainty that she'd be able to get out. So that was my take.
Yeah. And then next, I basically my watts or weak sauces are just because it's okay, just of what they did to kind of give us those moments that seems to just be cue the scary moment because, it's The Walking Dead. And so I kind of put that in I was cue the plastic bag walker, that stands up, and he's this big, huge, gross looking thing and that kid, of course, was the one that he was going to go after. But it was during that whole scene leading up to that was just oh yeah, we need a scary scene, someone's going to get bit, and it was cue, all these things were in plastic bags and they were going around smashing them. And then it was of course there's going to be the one that is somehow not wrapped up enough and attack. But then it was also, it's well, then Negan goes to go kill it. And I kind of was just okay, yeah, here's the gore moment where he's pushing that bar or whatever the thing that he had, against its neck. And it was just all this blood and stuff was coming down. But then he basically just shoves up against the wall and then basically whacks it across the head. And I was kind of why didn't you do that from to the beginning? You spent all this time to just holding it back. Then you then pushed it and hit, killed it. It was kind of okay, we needed to see guts.
I thought that it was gonna. He was basically gonna take the crowbar and slice his head like it's a piece of bread or something.
Yeah, push it all the way through.
Push his head off.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah,
but he was too far down on the chest for that to really be a viable option, though.
Yeah,
I kind of took it that he was pinning him against the wall so somebody else could come and give him the spear in the eye socket.
And I think that's what he was expecting, but no one came to his rescue.
You leaving me hanging, bro?
Yeah,
leaving me hanging.
Which was kind of lame. I get it's Negan, but that's still kind of lame. I mean, if you're in a situation where, why did you bring him along then if you're not gonna play by the team rules?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's.
I was curious. I was just gonna say that the kid and I don't know what his character's name, but C. Thomas Howell.
Well, hang on a second. I'll look it up on IMDb and tell you.
Okay. Well, those two, I was looking to see if either of them had red shirts.
His name is Roy.
Roy. Okay.
Well, I wanted to call him John Smith because
And-
wasn't that who he was in the Dead Zone?
Yeah. And I don't know what the kid's name is.
Yeah, I don't.
Hold on. IMDb will tell us.
Is it the kid?
Was it Gage?
Gage? Okay.
What a
don't
kid
know.
name.
I don't know if that was him, but he's listed directly under C. Thomas Howell, and he looks childlike. He has glasses. I can't remember if he was wearing glasses in the episode, but
He was not.
In his IMDb pic, he's wearing glasses.
Maybe that's why he didn't see the walker.
Yep, then that
Oh
would
my
make
gosh.
some sense.
He
Well,
he looks
no, he-
like the youngest person in this list of list of cast people.
He didn't need glasses because he had LASIK surgery.
Oh, of course.
It's
In
Velma
the apocalypse, he had LASIK surgery.
It's Velma
Oh,
Dinkley's
I went
brother.
way over the head. Okay.
All right. Well, let me finish the last one. And really, it was like, again, this was just kind of because it was like, okay, sure. Maggie like somehow couldn't pull herself up on that train and everybody else seemed to have no problem doing it. I know some people were helping, but then you don't see that. Like, I didn't see anybody help Negan. And, it's kind of like after maybe a second watch, then I was kind of like, oh, I guess maybe that was why. But then, it just didn't seem, I don't know. It was just kind of like, okay, really? You're Maggie. I feel like you're probably like super strong. You've done stuff. Like, how to like do this. But then I was kind of like, okay, sure. Then Negan, was like over her and doesn't help her. And then she falls and, it was like, I guess she needs her own dumpster moment. And actually, Angela King on Talking Dead said something similar to this, that not to saying like, oh no, she's not going to have a dumpster moment. She is she's totally fine. We'll see that next week. Like but yeah. I mean, it was the first thing I thought. I was like, oh yeah, she's going to fall in all these walkers and like, oh my gosh, is she dead? And
that would suck if it's a dumpster moment.
Well,
be like, not that again.
I hope they learned from their previous mistakes.
That's the thing.
You made the comment, Kyle. I think it's like, what did Negan do before the apocalypse? He was a PE teacher. So this is like bad PE class. You can do one pull-up. You can do one pull-up.
And I was thinking that, like after the fact, maybe he like looked away because he's like, oh, you got it,
Yeah.
And it's just like false urgency there.
Well, and I kind of agree with something that Kyle was leaning towards. Where did everybody go? If you're on top of the train, the threat is gone because walkers can't jump and they can't climb. So it could have negated that whole plot point if everybody else would have just hung around and waited to see if everybody got up.
Well, that was what I didn't understand either. Because then it was
why
like,
did everyone scamper away?
Right, it was like everybody for themselves at this moment. But then it's like, hey, Maggie is there. Like she said, they voted for me. Or whatever. It's like, but yet they took off, and then no one cares to be like, hey, did everybody get up from the train? So I don't know.
Screw you, Maggie.
Yeah, it made for the scene, so I get that.
How's that whiskey Cavalier now?
Oh, dang it!
Ouch!
Oh, I know, harsh. I love that show.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm so sad. I was actually disappointed in Maggie because I was like, really? You're going to look at Negan like, help me, after you made that impassioned speech about how you're just waiting to kill him?
I know.
I'm like, what kind of bad bitch are you? Put on your big girl panties and do it yourself. Don't look at the person you just swore to be your mortal enemy to save you. Oh, I was so disappointed in her.
Because what do you expect him to do? Go, hey, I know you just threatened my life and said you wanted to kill me in the dirt like a dog, but here, have a hand.
You're waiting to stab me, but yeah, I'll help you up. I mean, for crying out loud, if nothing else, she knows he's a scorpion, right?
Yeah.
If that's what you really think, if you really think that, and I know I said this at one point in time that I would never forgive him, but honestly, I waffle back and forth. I'm like, I remember what a terrible person he is, but then I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe.
He saved Dog.
Yeah,
he saved Judith.
Okay, fine, whatever. He's done some okay stuff. That's all I'll go. That's as far as I'll go. He's done some okay stuff.
He is a complicated person.
Well,
sure, whatever.
Last thing, well, you're dumpster Jesus, Kyle. Glenn. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, if that's what you really think that he is, then why would you ever look to him for help?
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yeah, exactly.
But as far as the Glenn dumpster Jesus scene with the train car goes, just remember, where's Daryl? Daryl is underneath the train car because he scampered after Dog. So I think that they have their, I don't know, can you call it a Deus Ex Machina or Deus Ex Daryl?
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. So I'm just saying they left her an out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they
did. It would be a Daryl Ex Machina.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool. All right. Well, that was all I got. Do you have something, Brian?
Yeah. Just two things. I think it was weak that for the excuse about bringing Negan there in the first place, because he does bring up the point, can't you read a map? And for that matter, are you telling me that not a single one of them was from there? Of all those people, none of them were from the DC area.
Or had ever been there.
There.
In the past however many years they've been in this area.
Yeah.
How many of those people, okay, now this is a good question. Were any of those people Alexandrians or were the majority of them Hilltoppers? The only reason I bring that up is if they were Alexandrians, they had probably been scavenging in DC, so they might know their way around.
Right.
But,
yeah.
The Hilltoppers are out in, Hog Knuckle, Virginia at the plantation.
But after a while, they meshed into each other so much that they all went around all the time together.
Right, yeah.
They all had like their, Tri-City community hookup, whatever thing, and they went off on their runs and whatever stuff. Yep. I mean, they went to the freaking Museum of Natural History, for crying out loud.
And that's downtown.
And that's the thing. It's like, if they were starving, are you really telling me in the 10 years of the apocalypse, they wouldn't have gone into DC to see what food is there? There's a ton of food in DC. It's DC.
Maybe there's hey Brian, maybe there's a Bill's in DC.
Bill's.
Yeah, the best stocked stock store in the apocalypse from Fear.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I got it. I got the reference. Well, that's my point though. It's like there's all sorts of places, and I'm sure that go to the White House. I bet there's some food under some bunker somewhere.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my point. Is I just have problems that there wouldn't be. Did they pick off all of that? And if they hadn't, okay, but you'd think that they would have gained a familiarity with DC at this point.
Yep.
So
yep. Mm-hmm.
That was my point there. Secondly, Josh McDermott, I don't know if he got gray hair over COVID or something, because his hair looked really black dyed. Like it did not look natural to me. It looked
like he dyed it with shoe polish.
Yeah. Yeah. And
maybe
it was
trying to look fancy for his girl.
It was very noticeable. So, maybe there'll be a scene and it'll talk about dyeing it, but
maybe Eugene's a Dapper Dan man.
I don't want Thop.
I'm a Dapper Dan man.
That's it for me.
Alrighty. Well, then let's go into our what sauce.
What?
All right, we got one just from Renee from Atlanta, and she said, Negan leaving freaking Maggie to fend for herself with all those walkers wanting to devour. I can't stand that man. Cussing face. Seriously, what can you say to justify him leaving Maggie? And some emoji faces of like, I don't remember which one that is. Not happy.
Yeah.
Looks like the eye roll emoji. Is that
Yeah.
what it is?
Eye roll.
Yeah,
emoji?
that's what it is. 3 eye rolls. Yeah, well, we've talked a lot already about kind of Negan.
Negan gonna Negan? I don't know.
Yeah, basically. All right, well then, thank you, Renee. That was it for our listeners' what sauce. LT, I guess we'll just start with you again. What did you have?
I'll just throw out, I might have tweaked it, but I'm going to what it. So the walkers were just taking a nap. There's nobody to shamble against. You just don't want to mill around in a herd like the Whisperer walkers did. So you just lay down on the concrete and chill out for a while.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I had the same thing. It's like, why would they all be laying there? Why would we suddenly get this new kind of walker?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, Angela King actually said that on Talking Dead. Look at me, I'm actually like bringing in Talking Dead stuff that normally you would do.
Two worlds collide, Jerry.
I know.
Two worlds collide.
Who did I become? No, she mentioned this as being like there's, they're bringing on the other walkers that we've seen before in some states, but just not a lot. And she called them like roamers, which are the ones that we're used to, and they're the ones that walk around in the herds and all that stuff. But then they're the lurkers, and basically they're like, when there's not a lot of activity or whatever, they just kind of just go dormant and just like lay there.
Yeah, like Brian's favorite walker in the snowdrift.
Yeah, or the one that got Herschel in the leg. That's a good example of one.
Or the one that got oh crap, was it Andrea's daughter by the river
in the season 1?
Yeah, way back. When the kid was playing in the river in the mud and the water.
No, that was Tara's.
Yes,
Tara's
with
niece.
the governor.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it was. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah.
So we've seen them. Just usually they use them for jump scares. We don't get like a whole building full of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing I've already pounded on it, but why? What's the urgency, Maggie? Why are we having to do this? Super forced march, because if the groceries are there when you got run out, they're probably still there when you get there.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that either. I was like, why I didn't understand the urgency other than,
they're starving.
We're all hungry. Yeah, we're all hungry, but I mean.
So if you're starving, let's go ahead and exacerbate that so that you're absolutely weak and useless when you get there.
Yeah.
Unless this is all about just getting rid of Negan, but
well, and like I said, you got to take care of your people.
And for that matter, isn't the goal, to try to find food? So if they were to find food before they got to Meridian, wouldn't they just get the food and turn back?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Hence the whole DC conversation again.
Yep.
Well, if the goal is to have, get food, why did they not make sure that they got everything out of the hangar or whatever that building was?
Right. And I feel like we could go because then again, it's all like, okay, then when did this hangar fall? Why hasn't this already been, scavenged by by how many other groups? Why was it like this, this
it's
wonderful,
not like it was a secret base.
Yeah, like treasure trove of all this stuff. And it was just like, okay, but that's that. So we'll just, we've already done that.
Well, I mean, if you're using that justification, then there are some other treasure troves that haven't been picked over if nobody noticed or didn't think to go to the big freaking obvious army base.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, enough about that. I only had really, I just basically turned it into my Watt because it was like Negan telling Maggie that he's not going to be put down like a dog, like Glenn was. And I made it my Watt because I was like, Negan, like, oh my gosh, that is like not the right thing to say when you're trying to get like others to join you.
Yeah.
It was like, just, yeah.
How you get people to like you.
Right. But I mean, it definitely though was a very, that's Negan being Negan, you know, he's kind of a hot mouth, you know, like.
A disturber of poop.
Yes. Yes, those are the better words. But that's all I really have for a Watt.
Yeah, and as far as mine, we talked about most of that. But the whole, you know, put me down like a dog, like Glenn was, and then followed by Daryl punching him. That, you know, that reminded me of course, the day when Glenn was killed, and season 7, episode 1, of course. But I remembered specifically how he went, you know, Daryl went to, you know, punch Negan, and we know how that worked out. So that's about it.
Okay.
But I guess the last thing I'd say, Negan turning away, and you know, if she struggles, you know, if he had helped her there, wouldn't she maybe kind of loosen up on him? So like turning, no,
I don't think she would.
Mm-mm.
She made up her mind, and I get it. She made up her mind a long time ago. I get it. But this is what I'm saying. It's so out of character for her to be like, help me. Oh, come on.
Well, like I say, or like you guys said, I think you're right. There is a Daryl ex machina that's there, and you know, he probably reacted because he saw Daryl underneath, you know, or whatever, and or something like that. So we just don't get to see it. So anyway, that's it.
Well, that'll be next week. All right. Well, let's go into our sad and aw sauce. Aww. All right. Well, we got one sad and aw sauce. Well, actually, a couple from Renee from Atlanta, and she says Yumiko seeing the postcard on the board, knowing she couldn't leave because her brother is still out there. Ezekiel coughing like he can only mean the cancer is getting worse. Cry face or sad face crying. Yep. Negan, tired self, just had to bring up how Glenn died on his knees like a dog, cussing face, and she said, bastard. Maggie saying she's not the same person that left Hilltop. Face. Yeah, I wanted Maggie to be okay. I know she's going to always miss her husband, but maybe she could have another love interest. She just always looks so sad to me. Yeah, she does. Without her kids, when her kid is there, the son, then she's happy, but it's a hard world out there.
Hit it out of the park with all those, Renee.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you, Renee. All right, let's just go into our own sad and aw sauce. LT?
Well, mine was the struggle of the people that are at the Commonwealth Processing Center to stay or go. That, you know, Eugene has sacrificed a lot for this booty call. And he's really struggling with, you know, my buddies want to leave, but I want to see Stephanie, but this is bad, and, you know, things are not getting better.
Yeah.
And then the big plot twist there when Yumiko saw the board, it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, Ezekiel, you know, he makes me wonder, because I know he can't be feeling too good with the way he was coughing, and, you know, possibly things getting worse with his thyroid.
I don't think it's a possibly.
Yeah, but the fact that I don't like seeing one of my favorite characters, you know, suffering like that. It's one thing that if he went out in a blaze of glory, you know, if it's one thing if he got killed fighting, But, just from personal experience, that long, slow, lingering death, especially in the apocalypse, is just kind of making me sad.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can't, the only thing I can get a read as far as what bothers me with Princess is that I think she's not used to being confined or contained. So she's got that, cat and a pet porter kind of nervous energy going on. So that was my sad for this, just because I'm hoping something good will come out of this, but it's just the anxiety of, are they going to string us along for a couple of episodes and then send them to reprocessing for whatever that's worth?
Yeah.
So,
well, guess we'll see.
We will see.
Yep. I didn't really have anything other than I agreed with some same points as Renee, so I will just let Renee have it.
Yep.
All right. Well, if that was all we had, let's go into our feedback.
We can talk about it. Done talking. Time to listen.
All right. Renee from Atlanta. This was kind of a part of, she posted twice. And so I kind of put them both in there, but they're basically kind of the same. She was like, at first, when the episode, I guess, or after she saw it, she was like, it was okay. Hey, it's the premiere, so I didn't expect a lot. But what did I tell you guys about Negan? Eye roll. He's a dick and he always will be a dick. Please kill him already. She does go on to say, I do love me some Jeffrey D. Morgan though, but never Negan. She went on saying how much she enjoyed the episode. She knows it's only going to get better. It was just hard waiting a week to see what happens next. Agreed. I really look forward to the season. I'm so happy to be back with you guys. Peace and love. Peace emojis.
Yay.
Yay. We're glad to be back.
Yep. Very much glad to be back. And I think I'm kind of I'm getting used to getting back into the I have to watch everything on a weekly schedule because I've been binging so much that I'm just wait, no, I don't want to wait a whole week. So getting back into the podcast and being back or whatever, that's oh, no. It's this gives me time to actually watch it instead of just being oh, I'm just going to buzz through it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our next feedback comes from Dieta from Detroit. Do you want to take this, LT?
I will. So Dieta says, question, why did Negan even volunteer to go on this mission if he felt Maggie was planning to off him? I don't get it. Negan, stay your butt in Alexandria and be a little more appreciative there. And she's got some shrug emojis. Could it be?
No, those are X emojis.
Those are
X.
No, those look shruggy to me.
Those are X's.
We're gonna make Ruthie our emoji expert because we never get these right.
Yes, ma'am.
The shrug is this, but this is this.
Sorry, those arms are not crossing her body. Anyway, Ruthie.
Okay.
But could it be he was plotting to try and get rid of Maggie when he got a chance? Anyway, there will definitely be hell to pay when everyone finds out what he did, and Maggie is going to give it to him. Overall, glad our show is back on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my speculation there is I think he wants to drag the truth out of her, and provoke a reaction, I think it's look, if you're going to kill me, let's get it on, and that's what he's trying to do. He just, it's kill or be killed, I think, is his philosophy. So,
or do it and quit talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
exactly.
right. Said that.
Poop or get off the pot.
Yep.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, next comes from Glennis from Toronto.
Negan told it like it is about Maggie and her wanting to kill him, although it wouldn't be Negan if he didn't mince his words and twist the dagger with bringing up Glenn. Getting punched in the face by Darrow was warranted for that comment. Yes, it was. I agree. Those two-times people? Oh, two-timer? Yeah. I don't know what.
No, those two
double crossing. That's what she meant. Those double crossing people that went off with all the supplies right after Negan's speech. Maybe they were offed along the way. as they were at the back. Maggie did say with the Reapers, if you realized they were around you, you were already dead. So Maggie being the Pied Piper was a valid comment Negan made. I hadn't thought about that, but that does also make sense. I don't think Negan has left Maggie to fend for herself against that walker. It's just a ruse to end the episode on a cliffhanger, or in this case, a subway hanger. Smiley face. I really think he's just turned away to get something to assist in getting her up safely. Well, that's another possibility as well. Not good that Daryl has been split from the group in order to go after Dog. Dog will lead him to trouble, that's for sure. And Daryl isn't there to break up tension or fights now between Maggie and Negan. Likewise for Eugene, Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Princess's interrogation. Those other double-crossing people are, I think, plans to mess with their heads when they said they've been there for, plus or minus 9 months and being reprocessed. Oh, so she thinks that they're just there to mess with their heads. Interesting.
Yes,
another thought.
Interesting.
I actually go in and have to agree with that because I have more about that.
Princess was very astute in her observations that those double-crossing guards were... I don't know I don't know. I'm not sure what 2X means, but I'll just say... Two ex-guards were romantically involved, but how did they escape their caged enclosure and manage to overpower the guards and get into the soldiers' gear? That was all done off screen somewhere, somehow. Mm-hmm. In the season 11 trailer, you see Yumiko in the soldier's uniform, and from that surmised she had gotten accepted and drafted into the army. But that was a red herring. But that'll be interesting to see how her relative is and how they'll interact. I'm very tempted to get AMC Plus now that it's available in Canada from August 14th or so. I didn't know it was available. And I daren't go online and search on TWD, as the chances of being spoilt is great since the episodes are available there 1 week earlier. Although I prefer watching The Walking Dead on the big TV screen. My TV is too old to do iPad screen mirroring, though I'm looking into just connecting physically via the Lightning HDMI cable route. Well, I would imagine that, like here, for example, you can get it through, say, Apple TV. So if you have an Apple TV, you can use that, or there's an Apple TV app on my Roku and I can use it that way. So there's probably different ways you can get it. But anyway, thank you, Glennis.
No, thank you very much. All right. Well, that was all our listeners' feedback. I wanted to go, we can go into ours. Looks like I'm the only one that actually wrote anything else, but, yeah, I just kind of with what Glennis was saying, with the ruse possibly with the Commonwealth, that's kind of what I felt too. It's I just didn't buy it. It was this threat of reprocessing, and I was kind of what's the point? Because it was if you keep coming up to, I think they call it level 1 assessment, only to be put back into reprocessing, and it was kind of why then are you why would they keep them alive? I mean, obviously, if they're trying to get information and all that stuff, but it was for 9 months. When you think at that point, you would be they're not worth anything. So, why are we still feeding them and keeping them? And so I felt it was just that those people were actually just a plant. The whatever his name is, Mercer. There's a one scene where they're all sitting at the table and Mercer grabs that guy. They grab a guy from the table across from him, in the cell across from him, and then he's all going to reprocessing, and it was okay, they're just doing these scare tactics. And whenever they did get the uniforms and going down the hallway, our group was, it was like walking by each of the doors, it was like you saw the inside of them interrogating, and stuff like that. So I don't know. I felt like that the whole Commonwealth, they're trying. It's all those people are with the Commonwealth, and they're just trying to scare them and use that to like maybe get them to like open up or like get the information. So I don't know.
Makes sense.
It's kind of what I just felt. And I already talked about that. Oh yeah, and this was from The Talking Dead. But I'm like, I haven't actually read this far into the comics, but there was a question asked about if Mercer and the princess are going to have a relationship like they did in the comics, and Angela King just said, "Wait and see." So, well, guess we're going to see those two possibly hook up. And there was a thing on Talking Dead where Negan he's liked more by his fans than we may think. They did a poll about like, they were asking like if basically the community, or if Maggie's like, should Negan be allowed to live, be banished, or be punished? And over 70% said that the community should let him stay. And Jeffrey D. Morgan was like on like video screen, whatever, and he's all like, yes, he's like, see, it's like people like Negan. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. And then the other last thing I had to say that came from the Talking Dead was like, actually Negan invoking Glenn was Angela's idea. And he actually said, he was like, that was phone call number 2. So it seemed like that Jeffrey D. Morgan did not want to really do that scene or like add that to the scene, and it was actually her idea. And so I was kind of like, girl, you're evil. Like they could have totally easy skipped that and the scene would have been fine, but yeah. So that was pretty much all I had to add. All right, well, let's just get into our news, ratings, and info.
There's a couple weird stories on the news.
All right. Well, the showbuzzdaily.com, which went down while we were covering Fear the Walking Dead, is back now. So I'm able to get ratings like I was able to, in past seasons. The Walking Dead this week got a 0.60 in the 18 to 49 demographic with 2.216 million viewers. And obviously this is way down from what it was in the heyday. But compare this to the last episode, which was also a 0.60 in the 18 to 49 with 2.124 million viewers. So it's slightly up in the total number of viewers, and did better versus the other numbers. Now it got a 0.86 in the 25 to 54 and 1.17 in the 50 and over. And that, was something that resonated during Fear the Walking Dead, how the 25 to 54 and the 50 and over, back when the show started, those ratings were much lower than the 18 to 49. And as the audience has gotten older, the ratings go up as you get older. So it's very interesting. Talking Dead was up from last time. It got a 0.18 in the 18 to 49 with 874,000 viewers. And that is way up, more than double in the total number of viewers. Anyway, it got a 0.09 in the 18 to 49 with 307,000 viewers. Now, looking at the parrots this week, The Walking Dead has been, because of the fact that, it's in its last season and there've been, trailers kind of playing all summer long. The Walking Dead has been in the top 10 of shows within the parrots, and that they call it average demand expressions. That is used for trying to gauge online presence, discussion, tweets, Facebook stuff, Instagram, all that stuff. Anyway, so it's at number 4 with 49.7 times the average show's demand. And that is up from last week's number 5 showing at 44 times the average show's demand. So as you can see, it's going up. Now, what was number 1? The perennial number 1, good old SpongeBob.
Always.
Yeah, in fact, it was way up this week. It got an 82.5 times the average demand. And I don't understand where this is coming from. I know that there's Camp Coral. I don't know if it's coming out of that, but who the heck is tweeting about SpongeBob? I don't.
Maybe they count all the memes.
Maybe they probably do, I guess. But well, the only news that we had of major concern, Chris Hardwick and his wife Lydia Hurst are expecting their first child. Jeffrey Dean Morgan congratulated him on Talking Dead, I guess.
Yep.
But Chris didn't really say much about it, so I'm told, because I didn't watch it. But yeah, so I don't know when she's expecting, but that's
yeah, and I couldn't find out exactly when it was like announced or whatever, but he just played it off like it was like, oh yeah, thanks, ha ha ha, and I was kind of like, that's a big thing, but I guess it must be old.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest reason the show was doing better is they were back in the studio.
Yeah.
No more Zoom call Talking Dead.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was quite the and like I still see them kind of being apart. Like there was no couch, but still. Anyway, that's it. So let's tell people how to contact.
All right. We want to encourage you to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That's at Walking Dead TTM. To submit your theories and feedback, most people post in our designated episode thread in our Facebook group. That's facebook.com/groups/WalkingDeadTTM. You can email us. That's walkingdead@talkthroughmedia.com. You can utilize our feedback forum, which is at talkthroughmedia.com/feedback. If you want to leave some voicemail, you can call 216-232-6146. And remember that all of our new episodes are on YouTube. You can search for Talk Through Media and remember to subscribe and click that bell to get notified when we have new videos. Remember that those videos come out before the podcast does on the podcast client of your choice.
To support us, like and review the Talk Through Media Facebook page at facebook.com/talkthroughmedia. And the best way you can support us is in our Patreon. You can find that at patreon.com/walkingdeadtalkthrough. We'd like to thank our Patreon supporters, Clint McAuliffe, Renee Murray, and Lawrence Todd over there. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or your podcast client of choice. And while you're there, give us a rating or review. You can also leave us a review at podchaser.com that you can write individual episodes or you can rate the whole podcast. And also remember to share our posts on Facebook and Twitter when we post them and tell a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to get us new listeners.
And don't forget that Kyle and I currently are doing the Lower Decks podcast, Star Trek Lower Decks podcast.
And sometimes LT.
Sometimes LT.
Yes.
You can get that by going to StarTrekDiscoveryPodcast.com or just simply going to TalkThroughMedia.com and you'll be directed there. And it's all part of the same Facebook group, Facebook.com/groups/Star Trek TTM podcasts. And we also have a Patreon for those podcasts with the good old patreon.com/Brian and Ruthie. So our next episode is going to be season 11, episode 2, titled Acheron, part 2. This one is also written by Angela Kang and Jim Barnes, just like this one was, and also directed by Kevin Dowling, like this one was. The description, according to AMC, is as follows. Maggie's team travels via subway tunnel. Yumiko seeks expedited processing into the Commonwealth. So until next time, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kyle.
And I'm LT.
And I'm Ruthie.
And this is the Walking Dead Talk Through. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.